Welcome to today's webinar entitled Promoting Entrepreneurship from A to Z. I'm very happy and very proud because today I have with me two very promising youth, two students at UPenn from around the globe, literally. Today with us, we have Adam Hano. Adam studies cognitive science, and what is more relevant to today's presentation is the fact that he has already founded two startup companies. He is the co-founder of Acombi and the founder of Tunesfall. Welcome, Adam. And I would also like to welcome Orestis Koutelas. Orestis is the winner of the Digital Championship of Cyprus back in 2015. At that time, he was a high school student, and this is how I came to know him. In the meantime, he has been involved in many entrepreneurship projects through his studies in computer science and business. Today's topic will be actually based on a project, an Erasmus Plus project that has been completed by a consortium of partners. The University of Nicosia was one of them, and the main aim of the project was how we can promote entrepreneurship, entrepreneurial spirit, if you wish, among youngsters. So I thought that because of the topic, it would be much more easier to express the main directions and the main tools that have been developed within this framework by having along with me two people who embody the entrepreneurial spirit. Guys, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you. We're happy to be here. Yeah.
I'm so happy that you are here. One thing that I haven't mentioned so far is the fact that right now for you, it is very late at night, and we truly appreciate the effort that you have to go through for this webinar. So without making it more suspensive than it should be, tell us, guys, where are you located right now?
Where are we right now? We're in right now it's midnight. We just came back from a hike and we're situated in Hawaii.
Hawaii. Aloha. So let me tell you that very often among teachers, among people who would like to be mentors, particularly mentors of young people undertaking entrepreneurial spirit, it is often a question of having a clear idea of what this is all about. And we started this support towards students and, of course, teachers by classifying the various tools available into categories. And the very first category is the introduction or the motivation for how to promote entrepreneurial thinking among youth. So, guys, what is your very first memory? What do you remember from your high school years or even earlier? That was the first time that you thought along the lines of putting together an entrepreneurial outcome. Who would like to go first?
I think for me, my first touch with entrepreneurship was 2 years before graduating from high school. I was actually in a computer science class, and we finished the homework early. So the professor told us, okay, there's somebody presenting in the amphitheater. You can go and talk to him. You can go and listen if you want. And we could have gone to the canteen to slack off, or we could have gone to the actual amphitheater. So we decided totally randomly to go to the amphitheater. And there was Ms. Kokinaki presenting about entrepreneurship. After listening to her for about half an hour about the digital challenges and all the what entrepreneurship meant, I first came to find out what entrepreneurship meant in even the word. I hadn't heard of it before.
You make me you make me flash. You know, you understand that, eh?
That's the truth, and because of that, because of the whole how Ms. Kokinaki exactly articulated the underlying motivations around entrepreneurship, the prize that there will be at the end, the problem-solving aspect. I turned to the person on my left, Antonis, and we said, "Okay, how hard can this be? Let's do this. Let's form a team and do this." And that's what we did.
Mm-hmm. And you ended up winning the first prize, right?
Well, actually, that year we won the second prize, but we were so pissed. We were so pissed because we knew that we believed at least we were better than the first team. So we got so pissed that we came back the next year on the same competition and got the first prize. But we were incredibly pissed.
Okay, so that is one of the motivational aspects are actually to really be committed to go for it. Adam, what was your first entrepreneurial undertaking?
So for me, it was a little bit more from like the nerdy side of it. So I kind of like started. A friend of mine shared a YouTube tutorial for Java programming with me when I was about like 13 years old, I think. And
I'm sorry?
I was 13 years old when he shared that.
13,
so I was about like
13.
Yes.
Wow.
And I slowly was going through that, and from that I jumped to starting coding Android applications because I wanted to like use kind of like the coding aspect of it to actually develop something that would be able for like that could be used by someone else and that could help someone else and solve some problems. So not just me being nerdy home and like play around with it, but more like more thinking about how can I leverage the technology to help people solve the problems and better their lives. So I came more from the nerdy side, and from there I actually thought of like an application that I wanted to do and applied to like a mentorship program back home in Slovakia, where I received a mentor who like explained more of the entrepreneurship stuff to me and how it works and how like validation of ideas works and many other aspects of entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm. So I'm sorry, but I just wanted to underline that the first encounter with entrepreneurial spirit can come in many different forms. And one of the things that we would like to provide to the mentors or the teachers of kids is a toolbox that they can use depending on the situation. And it has many different dimensions, most likely kind like the talk that we do today. Kids can get some inspiration from a video. So we ask them to interview a local entrepreneur if possible, or find somebody who might not be local but might be available, like you guys, and share the experience that they have. And then we have some other activities that are game-like activities, like jigsaw, where the kids can interact with each other and other interested persons, and actually form an idea of what is entrepreneurship, how one can become active towards it, what it takes, what it is necessary, and the fact that it is multidimensional, and one can go from many different aspects. For Orestes, listening to a talk might be inspiration. For Adam, getting to actually have access to a tool that enable him to build, develop different applications and share them with others is an inspiration. So we believe that the very first step is absolutely necessary, and it sets the tone for the active involvement of a person into this general direction. But of course, to make it concrete, one has to identify a problem, and challenge identification is the second step that we worked on. And here is a point that it's not always, let's say, easy to come across an interesting challenge. I say that having in mind some years' experience in the organization of competitions, national competitions here in Cyprus among high school students. One of the things that we often see is the fact that students tend to work on recycled problems. Their ideas may not be the most innovative ideas in the world, and that is rooted to the to finding an engaging problem. So what we have here in the second group of activities is tools, again in a game-like activity, that will identify an interesting problem. But what we normally say to teachers is to be able to identify a problem with impact, try to get out of the boundaries of a classroom, out of the boundaries of the school. It is sometimes you may find interesting problems within a school setting, but most of the times more interesting problems lie out there. So I know what was the winning challenge for Oresti, but I would like to hear from him. How did you come up with the idea that got you the first prize, and how did you get the idea for the runner-up? And was there a difference between the way that you looked for a challenge in the two in your two applications to digital entrepreneurship in 2014 and 15, if I remember correctly?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, and even putting it more broader on how do we actually come up with these ideas, right? For these specific examples, I think it was just texting back and forth and talking every day, bouncing off ideas of each other with my buddy Antonis at that point. So it was just like back and forth, and if something excited us both, then it was something to write down and explore further. Googling is a major aspect, so if it existed out there, then we wouldn't bother. And yeah, I think bouncing off ideas would be key. You can challenge me on this, but my opinion on being able to come up with great ideas and splitting it into two distinct, disjoint phases. The first is the brainstorming one, where you literally list down every single idea, perhaps in a team that you can think of in, like, I don't know, take 10 minutes and write everything down on the board, do it interactively as we like, but don't judge them. Don't say, oh, this exists, oh, this is crazy, this is infeasible. Perhaps that's
no forbidden word. Negative criticism is absolutely forbidden. Yes.
Yeah, that's for the first phase. So first phase, no judgment at all. You want to come up with the craziest, most amount of ideas. The second stage is the judgment. The second stage, you come in and you delete. You talk about which are feasible and which are not. with some criteria that you've set in place. But it's essential that you do the first part without judging. Otherwise, you go into groupthink, you go into all these phenomena around the team, and you can talk about it. But all this peer pressure stuff, and it just doesn't help anyone come up with a better idea. I don't know in your experience if it's been the same.
I do agree. Definitely, I would say for the first part, it doesn't always have to, like, ideas don't always have to come up only from a structured group brainstorming. Sometimes it's more natural. Sometimes it's something you have encountered, a problem you have encountered, and want to solve.
And usually that's more impactful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's bugging you. So you want to somehow solve that problem for yourself or for your friends, and then it becomes something that's useful for also other people around.
I think personal experience is a must. So many things that are bugging me right now, which I would like. I don't have the time to do something about it. But if so many things that are like, think of the things that are bugging you every day that you wish weren't there or that you wish were there. And I think that's an excellent starting point to.
Yeah. This way, it is certain that you will have a lot of engagement, which is absolutely necessary if you want to proceed. But my next question, and this is a stumbling block for quite a few cases I have encountered, is the team creation, especially among young people. Team creation is a big challenge, and getting to understand that together you can be more than each one of you can be individually, and value the other people for what they are, and get to know them at a deeper level. I think this is quite a difficult task, especially for the target group that we had in the YESICT project. So what we did there is the fact that we have developed activities to come up with a group identity. That means in mainstream lingo, their logo, and the role that they will contribute towards the implementation, and getting to know each other and actually forming a team. Let me ask Adam. Adam, with your involvement in these two startup companies, how many people did you have on board at any particular time instance, and how did you select your team? How the team came to be in place?
Mm-hmm. So both of the companies were very small. So my first company was the highest point. We had like 5 people working on it, and the current company we had 4 people working on it, and still are working on it. So for me, the kind of like the team creation was with both of the companies, it was very different. So for the first company, I was the sole founder of the company, and then I was just trying to get more people on board without them being the founders. And for that, I always was looking for the skills or the resources that the people can bring on. And with the second company, I founded with my brother, which is fairly unusual and fairly unlikely, or many people say that it's not really good to start a company with someone that close to you, with a family member.
But on the other hand, family businesses are so many around the world. So I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it.
Yes, interestingly, the failure rate of companies started by family members is much higher than
that's interesting
than companies started by others. Percentage-wise, I think best is if companies are started with 2 or 3 co-founders that have known each other from a previous work, so they were co-workers in their previous employment, and then they decided to found a company. So
yeah, I think trust there is a super key element, right?
that's one
That's
of
what you're
it,
looking
but definitely, and but if personal relationships get into the way, that might be also harmful. But for me, it was I very much enjoy working with my brother, and I think it's working out really well. So so that's why we decided both to found a company.
Yeah, and I think it's also interesting in that scenario that not only that you're I think the important thing except trust is, as you mentioned, like vibing with each other. Like the fact that me and Antonis, the guy we created Evimero and won the championship, was that we're just friends from beforehand. So we knew each other's buttons, and we knew each other's. We could hold each other accountable for some stuff without feeling bad or feeling weird, and having that personal relation with the other person in advance was super important. That's why networking is important. That's why working on as many teams as you can with other people and seeing how people work tells you a lot. If you were to, I was just in a team, for God's sake, yesterday about the team project and finishing up a paper for presentation for 12 hours in front of the computer on Skype for 12 hours with 5 people. And one of the people, I was like, God damn. I was like, yeah, I could imagine working together or anything with you. So yeah, it's just the vibe sometimes.
Yes, but what we would like to also say, especially to young people, is that through their interaction, by forming teams and getting to know better the other person on their team, is that at the end of the day, they also do some self-exploration, even if they cannot put their finger on it, and they develop skills by association that they didn't have before. So it is metamorphosis in a sense. Belonging in a team at the end of the project, whatever the project is, whether it is a winning idea or not, certainly team members have gained a deeper understanding and also have developed skills and competencies, not only in human resource management, although they cannot name it as that, but also transversal skills that they are going to use in many other aspects of their everyday life. So
yeah, definitely. To jump in there, I think a critical part of so not only improving, like seeing how other people work, but also seeing how you work and how you behave. And that can only come, it's very, very hard to do it by yourself, right? So that usually and most effectively comes from feedback from other people. And feedback doesn't just arrive at your doorstep, you need to ask for it. I was talking with a friend 2 days ago, and she was telling me about her experience working at Bridgewater, a company in the US. And she was telling me that in the company, they give feedback to each other. She received every day 27 pieces of feedback from other people. And they're all like in a board, public. Imagine receiving 27 pieces of feedback every single day. Like, how much does that make perhaps your skin a bit thicker? But also shows you a bit about yourself that you didn't know. So yeah, asking for it sometimes it's the key. The company, of course, not asking you.
Oreste, it's funny that you were mentioning feedback and the way that it was done in this particular company, because what we have put together as the next step in our framework for supporting entrepreneurship, namely the exploration, is a number of tools that are well founded in the literature, but we present it to the audience because of their age, again, in a matter that looks like more like a game activity rather than a serious analysis. For example, we are doing stakeholders analysis, but we use a template that is very easy to follow when you are 16 years old, 15 years old. And here is a tool set that the project has developed, and it is, of course, available and free of charge to anyone who is interested to guide the team of wannabe entrepreneurs into exploration of the challenge that they had at hand. Who would like to let me know what type of methodology or what type of tools have you used, if any, when you were involved with Evimero or Acompi or TunesFall or whatever other project you have undertaken during your studies? Who would like to go first?
It's a good question. I can do, and we can jump in. For me, I remember I was in this class at the university with a travel component. So for a whole semester, we built a rehabilitation prototype for a patient in Jamaica. And then we had final exams, and then we literally traveled for 14 days to Jamaica to personally deliver that prototype to the patient in Jamaica. Super cool experience, learned a lot, did not have very good cooperation in the team.
But how did you come to that point? How did you do the exploration? How did you identify possibly versions of the solution?
So what we did was list down all the requirements first. All the things that not specifically on the solution part, but on the specification part. Especially in this kind of rehabilitation project where you kind of need to think a bit outside the box. We were thinking of a motorized chair of standing up and with pulleys and all of that, super complicated stuff. And at the end of the day, the only thing we needed to do is make a box, literally a box, and it would do the exact same thing. So I think making the requirements as foremost specifications and not solutions. So defining the problem and not the solutions, if that makes any sense.
I totally agree with what you say. And in a nutshell, what we have given out is a matrix of questions. We call it 5 W's and why. And the 5 W's, of course, are what, who, why, when, where, and the H is how. And this links to the next phase, of course.
Framework to think about it and the constraints. And within those constraints, then you apply your creativity. Yeah.
Adam, would you like to add something? Is there something that you would like to mention? Is there a methodology or a tool that you have used to facilitate you in the exploration of an idea, of a challenge?
We have used the classic kind of lean startup methodology and the lean canvas methodology with kind of the whole framework of the 10 different boxes and how does that work. I think it's really valuable for any, maybe not in the stage of brainstorming, but maybe when kind of the idea becomes a little bit more clear, to use that that canvas and really honestly and rigidly write down the whole canvas and see, and we'll probably be talking about that in future, but to do that, I think it's very helpful for people to get
and put everything in just one picture, right?
Yeah.
I agree more.
Yes, that's right. And this is just one of the tools that we have proposed. We grouped it under the phase of ideation, where many possible solutions to the well-defined challenge have or are being proposed. And one of the things that we would like to make sure is to to really inspire in innovative thinking. And there are so many ways that teachers or fellow students make actually make I'm allowed to say may kill an idea in its birth, and we wouldn't like to support that rationalization, at least at the early stages of ideation. So for our target audience, remember they are very young people, we came up with a number of different frameworks and activities that sort of make them think that everything is possible. I mean, at this time, you may think of a solution that initially you think, oh, this cannot be done, and I will put an asterisk here. I will come back to that later. But in fact, through the development of the project, you can see that this is actually feasible. And one of the tools that we have here is the superheroes. And what is this superheroes all about? Students are encouraged to think as if they are a superhero, the favorite superhero. And they have all supernatural abilities. You would argue with me, but is this feasible? It can be done. Well, it couldn't be done in the past for sure, but now we see how technology is such a huge enabling factor that many of the things that used to be not feasible, now they are. So at this point, I would like to open up the floor to you guys and share with me something that it was a moment when you overcame a barrier and something that you thought could not be possibly done was actually being implemented in front of you. Adam, does this sound familiar to you? Have you experienced that?
Yes, definitely. One of the aspects of a combi is to enable easy payments within the real estate industry, and as you can imagine, this is a highly regulated industry within the EU, and it was definitely something that was not able to be done before, but luckily for us, a new regulation came into place and opened up a new opportunities. So this was part of something that we were thinking before, of like how to easily transfer money between people through a third party. And it was legally not possible to be done before, but now or very hard, but now the EU made it very easy, and it opened up opportunities, and it made the technology kind of like not even the technology, but more kind of like the legal framework to it came into effect and allowed something new to happen.
Okay. Sometimes it is, it could be a change in the external environment, be that at legislative or regulatory frameworks that apply, or a technological enablement, as I mentioned. Sometimes it could be something more mundane and trivial. And at this point, I would like to come back to the asterisk that I had put before in our conversation. So my son got involved in a project this year, and when they presented the project, it doesn't matter really what was the project all about. He got very negative feedback from his teachers at school. Oh, this cannot be done. This is not feasible. It's very complicated. It's very difficult to implement. You don't know this. You don't know that. And I said, okay, just take it one step at a time. You will see if it is feasible or not. So, of course, whatever problems they have identified were real problems. But the question is, can you resolve them? Can you address them by your own? No, perhaps. But gradually, he came to realize that, for example, one of the problems could be addressed by taking some expert advice. So they contact the person. and they got that advice. And through the process, they developed some business social skills and also some interviewing skills. And for something else, they had to go and do some preliminary market research. And they learn how to not know how to put together a questionnaire. They got an exemplary questionnaire out of one of these survey sites, and they applied it. It doesn't really matter what was the questionnaire all about. The fact that they know that they can use tools out there to help them overcome what cannot be done on their own, I believe this is an incredible valuable lesson for everyone, not just youngsters.
I completely agree. I think every time, like slowly through different competitions, different experience, I think you build up your own like toolkit of that you always can tap into. Either that is called making a questionnaire, either that is called validating an idea through Facebook ads. So you build up all that toolkit, and there comes a time where, from reading books from different stuff, where you come out and pick the specific part and apply it in the job, apply it in school, apply it in life, and it really comes a time where you're gonna use everything in that toolkit, and so nothing, yeah.
So this is an interesting point, because now that we have established that you can do quite easily things that in the past used to be very time-consuming, very expensive, and very complicated, and you have possible solutions to your challenge. The question is, how do you select the winning idea? How you put together the combination of features that you believe will get you through to be a winner, to validate your actually idea. Who would like to say something on that?
I can start. I think I do think that this is one of the most important phases of like doing something entrepreneurial. It's to actually have like validate the idea that I have come up with, and then be sure about the idea.
I think that's the real entrepreneurship, actually.
Yeah,
it's not about coming up with it. It's about validating in the market and finding product market fit. I think that's what it's.
Yes.
It's for me, that's the essence of it.
So I would agree that that's definitely like one of the like biggest parts of it. Because many times people are kind of like afraid of like, oh, I don't know, if it is, for example, something technical, they're afraid that, oh, how I will be able to code it if I don't know how to code, and these kind of things. But I feel that many times it's kind of like the other way around, that people really quickly jump into the coding part without actually having the idea validated and knowing that there are people out there or businesses out there that would like to actually use the product. So
that's the nerdy approach.
Yes.
There's also the other side, right? The business people who have no idea how to code, never touch a line of code, and they just imagine stuff which somebody else is gonna build. It's funny you mention that, because there is so our business school is called Wharton. So somebody has made a website which is called Whartonite, the person who studies in Wharton, Whartonite6codingmonkey.com, which it's every business person listing. You can Google it. It's every business person who has a business idea, writes it in there and waits for a stupid coding monkey to come and actually help him out do it. Nobody's gonna come and do it. Either you'll better learn yourself, or you better find people to partner with. So it's also both ways. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we're coming eventually to the very last stage, that is the prototyping. yeah, you all understand that at the age and time constraints that we have in this particular initiative, we are talking about kids with ages from 11 until 15 years old, basically high school kids. Yeah, some of them may learn Java from YouTube, but in all honesty, Adam, I do believe you are in the slim minority still. Some others may be more competent doing some kind of prototyping using more tangible aspects. So I just wanted to put forward that what we used for prototyping here in the project was to provide various ways. We provided some guidelines to do the prototype physically, let's say hardcore prototype on paper. But we also used an interesting prototyping tool called POP prototyping, which basically enables the students to design the screens of an application and connect them through an interface and have this quote-unquote app playing on their mobile phones. But coming up with a prototype can have all sorts of challenges and at the same time rewards. How long did it take to do your prototype for Evimero or Esti?
And I would extend the same question for Akoma to you. For us, I think it was like putting up the website was pretty straightforward, to be honest. I think we the first prototype that we threw out was just I don't know 5-10 hours work. Then comes the interesting part of improving it and tweaking it and making it even better. And that's, I think, the most rigorous part, the most interesting part, and the most challenging part. In fact, how was the first prototype you did for Akoma?
Yeah, it was actually also so we kind of and our first kind of like iteration of it failed, and one of the reasons was that that we were just so excited to it that we skipped the phase that we were talking about before, kind of like the proper validation of the idea. And so we were kind of like very excited about.
You spent hours building to find out that nobody wants it.
Yes, and we spent hours of building an application that at the end we received a very bad feedback on and nobody wanted to use. So then we kind of like had to change it up and start over all again. And then we decided to have a proper prototype and a very well thought prototype. So our prototyping actually took over, I think, like 2 weeks total to have a nice prototype that we can show people and get.
Yeah, I think you're not even coding it in the understudy. I think you're doing it in the prototyping, like the POP, exactly what you said. Today, my firm belief is that you have no excuse not to make a prototype, and like an initial sketch, a prototype, pad of paper, right? Do it from whatever you want, of your initial idea. Like, no excuse, no matter what your age is, no matter whatever. Like, the tools are free and are there, or cost very few little bucks. Either that is 3D printing, which, and also that's the point of entrepreneurship. It's creating something with lack of resources. Go find the resources. Go knock on the doors that will get you that laser cutter, that 3D printer. Mm-hmm. Is it the university? Is it another local school? Is it
like co-working spaces? Yeah, there are many co-working spaces all around Europe that are consistently underutilized, and they do have this kind of infrastructure.
Yeah, and online, I think software, and you can see software exploding this last few decades, it's because it's so damn easy to go and prototype an app. Go on the platform. Which was the platform that you're using?
We used Figma.
Figma. Amazing stuff out there.
I would definitely agree with that. And another aspect of that is, especially for students, even better if they're high school students or around that age, is that, or even younger, is that literally everyone is willing and going to help you
Yes.
out, and it's like
Yeah.
Yes.
so if you need an access to a 3D printer, and you just cold email a couple people, there's definitely going to be one person that's going to be happy to help out. So
Definitely. The moment you are not a student anymore, that's the moment where help doesn't come for free anymore. So
Yes.
better get advantage of it. Yeah, I didn't take advantage so much. I'm now slowly understanding. Yeah.
Yes, I totally agree with you. Somehow, when people see you how passionate and motivated you are with coming up with a prototype, or uh, yeah, be that an app or something else, they usually help you out in many ways than you can possible imagine, even in ways that you wouldn't have thought at the beginning. Just go and ask for it. In a sense, we come to the conclusion of the presentation of the different stages. The last thing is the communication, is pitching your idea, pitching your app, and we have given to the kids the possibility to use some guidelines and some different approaches to actually come up with their presentation. And instead of going through these tools, which are there and everyone can access through the YESICT.eu website, I'd like to ask you for your own experiences. What was the pitch that stands out in your memory? What was something that you totally thought it was amazing?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of speaker confidence and actual solid content that you don't think is fake. So if you tell me with confidence that you have an amazing business at the end, then you tell me that you already have 10 customers, I'm listening. So having the combination of context and as you say, charisma, which you can totally build up or fake, or I don't know. Yeah. Even
But,
if you're an introvert person.
Okay, was there a presenter? Was there a presentation that you really remember, and you would say, "Oh, I wish I could do that," or was there something in particular that got you inspired when you listened to it? By now, you are a seasoned listener. Eh? You are not easily impressed. Am I right or wrong?
You're more right than wrong. I think I don't know.
Okay, Adam.
Adam, what do you think?
What I would say is, I kind of like, for me, many times I got impressed not by like a direct pitch that was like an elevator pitch that was presented in some company. Many times I actually get just impressed by sort of like, and then that's kind of like a point that I want to go to later, is that by just like a sort of like a one-liner from a friend that's doing a startup, and he just like tells me, or she just tells me about the startup, and in a sort of a way, it's also like a pitching an idea, but it's not really a pitching an idea. It's just like a friendly communication. But I always had that kind of like a sort of like a feeling that even when I was telling my friends about the startup that I'm doing, is that I was sort of like pitching the idea to them and like seeing the reaction that they got from it, and that gave me lots of feedback. First, it gave me the feedback about the idea and whether it resonates with the certain person and the type and what the person like represents, what type of a personality the person is. And secondly, it also like always gave me kind of like a feedback on the pitch itself. So like when I was like doing explaining the company in 1 or 2 lines, I always got the feedback whether the person understands it or not. And from that, I could have always like tweaked a little bit to say, okay, so like next time I will not say this, but I will say this. And when I continue saying that to 10, 15, 20 friends, like after the 15th or the 20th, I already had like a solid working one, and like I just like went over, and I knew exactly at what sort of point in the explanation the person gets excited. So and honestly, there was also something that like always motivated me to keep working on the stuff I was working, because I could see that people get excited about it.
Yeah, definitely.
Obviously, absolutely. In conclusion, I would like to point out that all the things that we have discussed today, all the stages that get an idea from being identified up to the point that it is implemented and then communicated. Although certainly present to the to the to the students the opportunity to learn entrepreneurship related skills, they also develop skills that will stay with them for life. And I think this is a closing message of today's panel, that we have many initiatives, we have many tools available. YESICT is an Erasmus Plus project that was running by a consortium of 6 partners. And all the results of that project are available through yesict.eu. We hope that we have contributed towards promoting entrepreneurship in Europe and beyond, because all the skills that are being developed through this kind of initiative are there to stay with the kids, and they are skills that they are going to apply in their lives, whether they actually become startuppers, entrepreneurs, businessmen and businesswomen or not. So as a closing note, I would like to thank a lot Adam Hano and Orestis Skoutelas, and wish them all the best in the continuation of their studies and their professional development. And I'm quite confident that you will be very successful in everything that you undertake. All the best. Thank you for watching us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.